Welcome to today's deep dive. I want you to imagine, just for a second, going to the doctor for a totally routine checkup and discovering you have a tumor.
Oh, man.
But not just any tumor. A tumor so large that your friends have literally been using it as a party trick.
It sounds like a really dark, completely surreal joke, right?
Exactly. But in the hushed, deeply uncomfortable world of young men's health, it is a deadly reality.
Right.
You have this entire demographic of young men walking around completely blind to a disease that is hunting them, like right now, today.
Yeah, it's a terrifying blind spot. And the cost of that blind spot isn't just, embarrassment. It's measured in aggressive surgeries, months of chemotherapy, and families completely turned upside down overnight.
Which brings us to the raw nerve at the center of today's deep dive. We're looking at this incredibly personal, fiercely written blog post from 2026.
Right, the one by Mo.
Yeah. It's titled, "Come On Boys, The Silence is Killing Us, Love Your Nuts." And she published it on her blog, Mo's Musings and Memos. Now, normally, Mo writes business-to-business content, like corporate blogs for a company called Papa Joe's.
Right, very professional, very corporate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a sudden, massive medical crisis in her own home just forced her to drop the corporate talk entirely.
You read her writing, and the sheer desperation just jumps off the page. I mean, she has this visceral way of describing 2026 as a relentless roller coaster.
Yeah, she said she was hoping the chaos of the year would stop with Chuck Norris.
Yes. But instead, life decided to stuff a, quote, dried dumpling down her throat, which is just, it's something that is fundamentally impossible to swallow.
That dried dumpling arrived on April 8, 2026. Mo saw a post online by a man named Torsten, who runs an organization called Love Your Nuts.
And that's when it hit her.
Right. Through that single post, Mo realized that April is actually Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. Now, here's the detail that makes this so alarming for you, the listener. Mo is a highly engaged mother. She has raised 4 boys.
4 sons, all to young adulthood.
4 sons. And she had absolutely zero idea this awareness month even existed.
She was completely sidelined. And really, the core mission of our analysis today is to figure out how that happens. We need to dissect the systemic failure in how we educate young men.
Right.
We have to expose the deadly mechanics of the hush-hush culture surrounding masculinity. And most importantly, we need to extract the urgent lessons Mo is trying to broadcast.
So, Mo's total blindness to this isn't an accident, though. When you look at what her kids were actually handed in their high school life orientation classes, you realize the curriculum literally engineers this ignorance.
Yeah, she remembers helping her boys study for those health exams, right?
She saw the syllabus.
Yeah.
The educational department made sure they covered world religions. They extensively covered teen pregnancies. They drilled in the importance of using condoms.
So they are covering the social and biological mechanics of typical teenage risks. But when you look at how the curriculum treats gender regarding cancer, the divide is just staggering.
It really is.
Mo points out that girls are conditioned to understand breast cancer from a very young age. Every October, the culture turns pink.
Right. The awareness is everywhere.
Exactly. There are massive charity runs. Mo herself actually participates in the Muddy Princess run for a friend. Women are taught the specific mechanical steps of preventative care. They are taught vigilance.
Okay, but wait, I want to challenge the idea that boys get absolutely nothing, because the source text points out a really bizarre contradiction here. Boys do get taught about male anatomy and cancer in these classes.
Yes.
It's just that the curriculum heavily focuses on the prostate gland.
Which is medically factual but contextually absurd.
It's completely absurd. The average age for a prostate cancer diagnosis is over 65. Meanwhile, they're completely omitting testicular cancer, which statistically targets the 15 to 35-year-old bracket.
The exact age of the teenagers sitting at those desks.
Exactly. Teaching 16-year-old boys to worry about prostate cancer while ignoring testicular cancer is it's like teaching them how to manage a diverse retirement portfolio while forgetting to teach them how to open a basic checking account to pay for their lunch today.
That's a great way to put it.
You are giving them tools for a crisis they won't face for half a century.
And completely ignoring the crisis that is right at their doorstep. And, There is a biological reason for that 15 to 35 window, by the way.
Really? What is it?
Yeah, testicular cancer is largely driven by the rapid cell division that happens during puberty and early adulthood. When cells are dividing that quickly, powered by peak testosterone levels, the chance of a genetic copying error, which is basically what cancer is, skyrockets.
Wow. So the disease is literally feeding on their youth and vitality.
Exactly. But that engineered ignorance we talked about, it doesn't just stay in the classroom. It follows these young men directly into how they perceive their own bodies.
And it leads to dangerous, life-threatening delays. Mo's eldest son was officially diagnosed on February 13th, 2026. But he had waited more than 3 months to tell anyone that something felt wrong.
3 months?
What I struggle to understand is that 3-month gap. I mean, if a guy breaks his arm, he goes to the ER. If he has a weird rash, you get some cream. Why do they just sit on this?
Well, Mo asked her son that exact question. She asked him, if he had been taught to do a physical check with the same clinical regularity that young women use for breast exams, would he have waited 3 months?
What did he say?
His answer was a definitive, of course not. He simply didn't have the vocabulary or the baseline knowledge to know what a standard anomaly felt like.
But shouldn't pain be the ultimate red flag? I feel like even without an education, pain usually forces the issue.
And that is the deadly deception of this specific disease. Testicular cancer often doesn't hurt in the early stages.
It doesn't.
No. You assume a growing tumor would immediately trigger your body's pain receptors, but it's more like a burglar who knows exactly how to pick the lock without tripping the alarm.
That's terrifying.
Because there is no acute pain initially, the body's natural security system never goes off. Her son only spoke up when the pain finally escalated to an extreme level.
So if he had been taught the mechanical, tactile signs to look for, that lack of pain wouldn't have given him a false sense of security.
Exactly. And what fills that void of education is just its deflection, usually through humor.
Right, which brings up what has to be the most disturbing detail in her entire post. The party trick culture.
Oh, yeah. That part was rough.
When young men do acknowledge this part of their anatomy, it's entirely shrouded in jokes. Smacking each other, joking about who has, quote, big balls.
Yeah.
Mo recounts a specific story about a man whose testicle was so severely enlarged from a tumor that he used it as a visual gag at parties.
Unbelievable.
He was showing it off for laughs, entirely unaware the joke was actually on him.
Using a cancerous tumor for a laugh is a chilling image. But psychologically, it makes perfect sense in that environment. Humor is a shield.
Because acknowledging it is too scary.
Yeah, acknowledging a lump seriously means admitting fear. It means setting up a doctor's appointment to have a highly vulnerable part of your body examined. In many male circles, taking that seriously just feels socially unacceptable.
Mo writes about how men hate going to doctors for anything involving their private parts, and you can just feel her frustration. She notes that we are living in the 2020s, but it feels like these young men are still operating under a 1980s mandate of masculinity.
The stoic, silent breadwinner archetype, the guy who never complains and never shows weakness.
Right, but by equating silence with strength, they are literally giving a highly aggressive disease a 90-day head start to spread through their bodies.
And when that silence finally breaks, usually because the pain becomes impossible to hide, the humor evaporates instantly. The family is suddenly dropped into a brutal medical reality.
Mo doesn't sugarcoat what her family is enduring right now. Her son had to undergo an orchidectomy, the surgical removal of the testicle.
Which is a massive physical and emotional toll.
Huge. And following the surgery, they received a stage 3A cancer diagnosis.
For context on what stage 3A means functionally, it means the cancer is no longer localized. It hasn't just stayed in the testicle.
It's moved.
Yes, it has likely traveled up the spermatic cord and spread into the retroperitoneal lymph nodes, the nodes sitting at the back of the abdomen. It's a systemic fight now, which dictates a much more aggressive treatment protocol.
Which is exactly what they are facing. They're gearing up for 3 months of aggressive BEP chemotherapy. And Mo uses a brilliant analogy here.
Oh, the searchlight one?
Yeah. She describes the chemotherapy as searchlight, hunting down what we can't see.
It's a perfect mechanical description of how BEP works. BEP is an acronym for a cocktail of 3 drugs: bleomycin, etoposide, and platinum. The platinum component is particularly fascinating. It physically binds to the DNA of fast-growing cells, cross-linking the strands, so the cancer cells literally cannot pull apart to multiply.
So it traps them.
Exactly. Think of it like throwing a steel wrench into a printing press. That's how it acts as a searchlight, systematically hunting down and breaking the machinery of the unseen cancer cells left in his body.
It totally reframes the concept of chemotherapy for you. It isn't just lying in a bed receiving a drip. It is a grueling, tactical, 90-day biological mission. They are going to war.
They really are.
But what really caught my attention wasn't just the medical battle, it was the social ripple effect of that battle. Once Mo's son was diagnosed and the family made it public, all these men in their extended circle started coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that was incredible to read.
Close family friends started pulling them aside to admit that they too had survived testicular cancer.
It reviews just how pervasive the silence actually is. I mean, these are men Mo has known for years, and they never mentioned it.
Why does it take a 20-something's medical trauma for these older, established men to finally speak up?
It comes down to the psychology of permission. In a culture that demands stoicism, men often require a proxy, a secondary tragedy, to grant them the social permission to discuss their own vulnerability.
So they needed him to go first.
Exactly. Mo's son, breaking the silence, gave the older men the psychological cover to finally say, "Me too, I went through this." They needed an external catalyst to unlock their own history.
You can see how this trauma forces a pivot in every aspect of their lives. Mo talks about how her family has always had a secret greeting with each other.
Oh yeah, the greeting.
But now, in the shadow of this diagnosis, they've changed the tone. They call it a special greeting. It's a subtle shift, but it's their way of acknowledging the gravity of the room. They're refusing to keep secrets anymore, but they are doing it without losing their foundational family spirit.
Yet beneath that spirit, there is a profound undercurrent of helplessness. Mo describes wanting to stand on top of a mountain with giant boom boxes just screaming into the valley, "Testicular cancer is real. Please love your nuts, guys."
But she follows it up with this incredibly haunting fear that she'll be shouting into the quiet of the night and no one will hear her, that her voice will just fade away.
And this is where we have to pivot our focus directly to the listener.
Listen to me closely. We are not going to fade at the end of this conversation.
No, we're not.
The stakes are far too high. And the energy behind Mo's message demands a crescendo, not a fade-out. She abandoned her corporate writing and exposed her family's darkest, most terrifying moment for one explicit purpose: to save just one boy.
She states very clearly that finding purpose in this ordeal is the only way she can find peace.
If you are a parent, an uncle, a mentor to young men, the call to action today is absolute. Do not wait for the educational system to fix its curriculum. We've established it is structurally broken.
Totally broken.
It is handing them tools for a retirement they might not reach if they don't survive their 20s. Do not wait for a designated awareness month that no one even knows about. Talk to your sons right now.
We have to completely dismantle and redefine what toughness means. We must decouple toughness from silence. Enduring a painless lump for 3 months because you are too embarrassed to speak up isn't strength.
Not at all.
It is a fatal miscalculation. True vitality requires an absolute rejection of that outdated masculinity.
Strength is the willingness to look foolish in front of a doctor rather than looking invincible in a coffin. Think back to that guy at the party. Think about the tragedy of a deadly, fast-growing tumor being laughed off as a literal party trick just because of the crushing societal pressure to avoid vulnerability.
It's heartbreaking.
Do not let a punchline be the smoke alarm you unplug just because the noise makes you uncomfortable. Ask yourself, what other vital life or death conversations in your own life are you silencing with humor right now?
Because when we use a joke to deflect, we are almost always hiding a fear that needs to be dragged into the light.
Drag it into the light today. Break a silence in your own family. Check on the young men in your life and make sure they know how to check themselves. We will catch you on the next deep dive.